Royal Rumble week is here.
Yep.
One of my favorite pay-per-views, PLEs of all the times, for sure. It's got to be my favorite gimmick match of all time. That it's your favorite gimmick match, isn't it?
You know what? I don't think I really like Royal Rumble, to be honest with you. It
Excuse me.
in no grand
Is
scheme of
this how we're
things.
starting the show right now? Is this what we're doing?
So you said best gimmick. Sure, yes, I would say that this is definitely yes, it's definitely the best kind of gimmick pay-per-view. But the thing is, it's 3 to 4 hours of just figuring out who's going to be WrestleMania's main event. And it's been like that for a long time. It's cool because you get some legends coming back. Not so much so over the last couple of years because there's a lot of people in the in the Rumble. Um, but it's it feels like almost like a waste of time. Oh my God, we're starting that way. Yeah.
Wow. You've had some bad takes.
Mm.
I think you've just hit your worst take you've ever said. Not even on this show. Maybe the worst take you've ever said in your life is that the Royal Rumble is 4 hours of a waste of time. So I am going to assume and say we already know what next week's What Rhodesia Learned segment is going to be, because I'm going to evidently think you've never watched a Royal Rumble match all the way, not being on your phone. So you're probably going to see this year's and be like, hey, that's actually a really fun match. It's actually pretty cool.
It's
It was
fun, but it's a waste
exciting.
of time. It's kind of a waste of time. It's just like filler. It's just really filler. It is,
My
and that's just
God.
the reality. It's cool because that's a jumping off point to start your feuds, your campaigns until the Mania gets here. But it's just, you know what? It reminded me, Royal Rumble to me, if we draw parallels here, is like how I feel about Saturday night's main events, like those kind of, or shows in other countries outside of like Canada, but like the Saudi shows. Okay, in the beginning,
Maybe we should have talked about
Crown
the beginning
Jewel.
of our show, because I don't even want a pod anymore. Like, I'm ready to end this episode, and this will be the quickest episode of the TFW podcast in history. For you
But
to
I've never told.
say the Royal
I'm getting
Rumble
hot in here.
is a waste of time. You didn't say
kind of a waste of time.
A lot of the match. There's people kind of act like they're trying to throw people out, but it's really not happening. But man, holy shit.
It's kind
it
of a
turns
waste
up
of
in
time.
that last 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. You didn't go that way. You didn't
No.
go even the way of like,
That's kind of a waste of time.
like, stop actually like having all these veterans and Hall of Famers come back, because you have so much talent in NXT and underutilized talent on the main roster that like just fill all 30 with like active wrestlers and superstars. You went straight to the Royal Rumble.
It's kind of a waste of time.
The biggest waste of time in the history of pro wrestling.
There's like no fact checking, and maybe we could fact check later on when we produce this. But it's like, I don't think any of the championships really changed hands, and if it did, it didn't really make sense, or it was whatever. And so then now we're down to just the Royal Rumble matches, the 2 matches. So like I said, there is levity there. There's humor, but like when you look at like when the rings get full of people ain't even really punching each other. People laughing, having a good old time, thinking this is a live show. Like, it is kind of a waste
you hate
of time.
that, huh? Yeah, you want all your wrestling to be serious.
No, I just said it was kind of a waste of time. I just said Royal Rumble was not my favorite pay-per-view because it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, we didn't just get probably the best segment in history of pay-per-view just a couple years ago with Sami Zayn turning on Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble.
Okay,
said,
that's
like,
cool.
Nothing really happens in the Rumble. It was cool.
That's cool.
Man, I'm not even going to ask.
Like back in the day, it was awesome because people would get a paycheck for showing up. But now that contracts are different and you get your salary regardless. Like before, I used to like the Royal Rumble because, we didn't see this person. We know they got some of the house at that point. But now, okay, it's just whatever.
So this is what we'll do. When we get to the Rumble preview, just lay the hell out.
Oh,
just sit there, nod every 42 seconds. Say, yep.
Believe me.
Just so like you pop up on screen on camera for YouTube.
Believe me,
say, nope,
I am.
Like every 90 seconds. So you pop
Boring.
up. And then we'll just do that. So final segment of this pod, I'll just do by myself. You just sit there, smile, look cute, and go, You can just do it once and we can just put it in the video. You actually can get up and leave as soon as I say, all right, Royal Rumble preview. We will just pre-record it and you keep it moving. Because that is ridiculous. So I'm not going to ask the Royal Rumble question that I had.
Please do so. Please entertain
Absolutely not.
Entertain
I am
me,
going to show how much of a professional I am. I'm going to pivot right on the spot.
Okay.
The Royal Rumble is in Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this because it is Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. Spain time. So we get to watch this show prime time. I cannot wait. Instead of these 2 a.m., 3 a.m. shows have been killing me in my sleep schedule.
For sure.
But we're here. We're here now. My question now is going to be to you. Okay. It is in Saudi Arabia. Last week after we podcasted, I believe on Wednesday or Thursday, news kind of came out and said that Saudi Arabia is ready and willing to offer The Rock the biggest one-day paycheck in the history of professional wrestling for next year's WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is in Saudi next year.
That's a fact already?
Yeah, they announced it already.
Okay, that should have been on my What Rhodesia Learned This Week in Wrestling, but okay, keep going.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Okay, keep going. I know. So
my question now is going to be to you: has your anticipation or excitement for Rock versus Roman, because that has to be the match? There is nothing else. I mean, they could do Rock versus Cody, but I do believe Rock and Roman will be Rock's last match. And if Saudi is willing to pay him, and I don't know what the number is, but you best believe it is in the tens and tens and tens probably of $1 million. We heard how much he was offered to work 40, and it would happen. So that number that he's getting for next year's got to be higher. But has your anticipation lowered to see Rock versus Roman next year at WrestleMania?
Quick correction. I do remember that WrestleMania 43 was going to be in Saudi, because I remember you used to always joke talking about that. I'm going to get you ringside seats, but I can't show. Anyways, has it changed? I would have to say yes, only because, or if it's lowered, I only have to say yes because just like with LA Knight, and you bring up Baron Corbin from before, even Jey Uso for a while. Like, after when I get my hopes into something wrestling, and then like when it gets shitted on, like for me, it ends up being like, well, I'm not going to believe it until it happens and it's here. So just off of that alone, for sure, my expectations have lowered, because I'm actually not going to really get excited for it until like we are here come WrestleMania 43 and it's on the plasters, on the marquee, and it's Roman versus The Rock. Other than that, it's just like, okay, I'll be here and I'll wait. But I'm not getting excited, because in my mind, when he didn't show up last year, this year, whatever it was, I'm like, okay, well, we're never going to get it. And if we get it, it's going to be so artificially made that it's not going to, for my fandom of wrestling, it's not going to be like what I wanted purely between the dynasty, who's the head of the family, who's the true tribal chief. So they can heat it back up. You got a year then in this case to heat that story up. But other than that, I'm like, no, I'll just believe it when I see it. And then when we get to Mania and that's there, then I'll get super excited. Probably the most excited I've ever been for any kind of wrestling match, even over Cody and Roman.
Okay, so then to actually answer my question, then your anticipation has not waned. Your excitement has not waned if we get Roman and Rock next year at WrestleMania.
If it is actually true, it has not. It probably will increase, but it won't happen until I'm actually seeing it then. Today, I'm not putting any stake or anything into it now.
Of course not, right? Because they could easily try to do Rock and Cody. I mean, there's money behind that, but we know what the money match is. The matches that we've always wanted is Roman and Rock. It's funny because I saw some, like, when that came out, and then you see the people online responding.
What they say?
I'm gonna stop. Maybe my New Year's resolution is to stop. I don't know if it's like stop being online, but maybe stop bringing up online on this show, because, and I'm gonna, we get to WWE Unreal. Hopefully you guys watched it, okay? Because I do want to talk about it this week. But a lot of irritation allegedly, and conversation and negativity surrounding, well, because it's going to be in Saudi Arabia for The Rock to be there. Why does that matter to you? You weren't going to WrestleMania anyway. The same people that bitch, moan, and complain don't spend money to go to these shows.
But it's a difference on if these people don't spend money to go to these shows because they have the money and they don't and they're bitching versus the people who don't have the money to actually go to these shows. So now you're making it to
doesn't
the point.
matter.
It does. No, you
If you
can't
are
sit up here and say it
complaining,
doesn't matter.
if
It
you're
does matter.
complaining about The Rock only showing up to Saudi next year to work WrestleMania, it shouldn't matter where the location is. You weren't going anyway. So you're actually going to get The Rock wrestling at WrestleMania. Unless your thing is like, oh, I just don't want to see The Rock anymore because he was so bad last time we saw him as the final boss. It was some of the worst TV we've ever seen. And when he got in the ring in that tag team match, holy hell, he could not hold his own. And boy, was that match bad because of The Rock by himself. Shut up. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's not. No, I get what you're saying, but I think you're not giving those people grace. This isn't an exact comparison, but this is like how I felt about NFL teams.
Saying like, the Rumble is the biggest waste of time in professional wrestling.
You get priced out, and if you get priced out, you have one, a legitimate argument about being priced out, and two, like something I've been waiting to watch one of my dream matches for my entire wrestling fandom. I don't get to see it, and then the crowd that does get to see it is them.
They weren't going anyway. I promise you. I can guarantee.
But here's the thing. But there's a chance that if in the States, if in the States, if I am someone who really can't afford WrestleMania, I'm probably not going to go to WrestleMania. But shit happens. They play the daily 3, the daily 4 lotto, and they win a few $1,000, $15,000. And let's say they don't want to pay off their bills and they want to go, they can travel. They can travel within the United States.
Daily 3 and daily 4 lottery. Do you think this is 1986? God bless, man. Hey, look, we moving on. All right, you got it. Welcome to TFW Podcast, episode 234.
Woo.
That's Freaking Wrestling, the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. Today, this lady that is on this pod with me, her name is Rhodesia. And I've learned more about her probably in the first 7 minutes of this show surrounding wrestling than I've ever learned and ever known about her. So this is a great show already. It's a fantastic show already. Y'all know me, man. I'm your favorite talker out these wrestling streets, Matt. So I was kind of going back and forth on like what our main topic should be. And shout out to our listeners, supporters of the podcast, the freaks. Y'all know where to find us. Y'all know where we are. YouTube, all audio podcasts, platforms, etc., etc. But I was going back and forth because we're always a little bit ahead of the curve on this show, right? So like probably a lot of what we talked about last week could have and should have been held off on this week. AJ Styles, the retirement conversation. We hit that already. Okay. Told y'all last week what was happening. You're seeing it in front of your eyes. AJ works SmackDown. AJ works Saturday Night's Main Event. AJ worked Monday Night Raw. AJ going home.
Yep.
Sunday morning.
He sure
Sunday
is.
morning for Saudi. He's going right to down south. That man is not taking the flight to Monday Night Raw. He's done. But of course, we'll talk about the Royal Rumble preview. That's where Rhodesia is going to mute up and just go, We'll just hit that for her.
I'm gonna act like I used to work, about that when I was at home, and I just have like a stagnant background and just stay like this, and it's gonna just be me,
and that's it.
That's all time. Yep. I can say that my internet went down. That's the reason why you got me frozen.
You stuck that. You just look at you. Remember, you used to always be on the camera.
Yeah, I like to be in the camera.
You got much better at that. Yeah, you got much better. So we that's not like the main topic. We're not gonna talk about that. I was actually going to start with like the Rumble preview because I did have a question about the Rumble and the promotion of it, but we kind of hit down on that a little bit. I want to maybe like talk a little bit deeper on that. So probably the best thing for us to do is kind of just work our way backwards, right? Like let's start with Saturday Night's Main Event, and we won't deep dive it because it happened a few days ago. But I do want to hit it because there's a lot of talk about Saturday Night's Main Event as a show from the hardcore fans and then from like the casual fans, right? Hardcore fans, there has been like this stigma around Saturday Night's Main Event, and rightfully so, to a certain extent of it's like a glorified house show.
Same thing Royal Rumble is.
Oh my God, listen to her.
Sorry.
Holy hell, man. You are just doubling and tripling down.
Sorry.
And this episode of Saturday Night's Main Event is probably arguably maybe the best one overall. Strong matches had time to breathe. But like more so than that, I was sitting there watching, and the show starts with Jacob and Cody. And I had said on the show last week, no way in the world was this match going to end in a clean finish. Really, we're looking at a DQ or we're looking at a count out. And match didn't even start. We didn't even get a match at all. But boy, did they over deliver on not giving us a match. Because if you look at the sheet right after they announced the match, and then you get the run sheet of what the show's going to be, and you see Cody and Jacob fight to a no contest, you'd be like, oh, that could be a little bit of bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But boy, did they not. Brought all over the arena, gave the fans their money's worth. But I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, so funny how just like, us as hardcore fans look at things. I'm watching the crowd. I'm listening to the crowd. I actually got goosebumps when Jacob Fatu came out. He cuts that promo, and I think for the first time in history, and unless maybe this is his tagline now going forward, is I went from EBT to WWE. First time in the world EBT has ever been mentioned on WWE television. I'm sure a lot of people had to Google what EBT was. Okay. But my man was on welfare. All right. But for him to hit that line, came out looking great. First time I think he's ever worked with his shirt off in WWE, showing the tattoo, but the crowds pop from the time they show him cutting his promo to the time his music hits. And then when they see him in the arena, the pop continues to elevate. That's pretty special. They get Jacob, they get Cody, they get a brawl all across the arena. So people are getting up close shots of them. We get Drew McIntyre. And then we immediately after that get Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Io Sky. And I'm in that moment, I'm sitting there and I'm looking. I think this was like 25 minutes into the show. And I'm like, the hardcore fans complain and bitch and moan a lot of times about pacing of the shows and like what's on the show. But fans who pay to go, the majority of fans, they are probably, I am sure at that moment when Rhea Ripley comes out, they are like, this is probably the best show I've ever been to in my entire life.
For sure.
Within 25 minutes, we get all that.
Yep.
And the show didn't slow down. And then, we got that great tag match with the women. I think I even tweeted out like, there goes the thought of, or the talk of you can't have a good match on Saturday Night's Main Event because of the format. They smoked it. We get AJ and Shinsuke, which was super, super cool. Right, from not having that match even announced 48 hours before to them being able to go out there and work a legit good match. And I'm sure it was good for both of them. Actually, Shinsuke wrote a thank you to AJ, and I knew it was going to get deleted. So I screen grabbed it, and it got deleted. But he basically talked about, like, AJ's retiring at Royal Rumble. He told him weeks ago or months ago he's retiring, and he said, we got to go one more time, et cetera, et cetera. And then he deleted that. So
read the room,
we got that. And then we got the Fatal 4-Way match, which even watching that match, I was in bliss watching them work. And I, put in the tweet I put out, I said, when you have wrestlers that know how to work, man, wrestling is a beautiful thing. And you look at Sami Zayn, you look at Damian Priest, you look at Randy Orton, they know how to work. And it's so many things they did in that match, and the little things and the big things. And Trick Williams overall is being treated the best of any call-up I've seen in a very long time. And we've seen some really good call-ups, and we've seen some people being protected and such. But boy, less than a month on SmackDown, and he's getting the biggest reactions consistently, and he's holding up his end of the bargain. We've been hard on Trick Williams, Rhodesia, you and I. Last year,
yep,
I was really hard on Trick Williams. And I just said he's got to show more. He's got to be better. And it's funny because he had an interview, I think on Bust Open, where he talked about not being ready a year ago and how he thought he was ready, but really going to like TNA really helped him. And he was saying in TNA, that's a real locker room, right? Where NXT, it is developmental. So they're going to tell you, look this way, do this, do that, do this here. And he's like, in TNA, hey, you get your marching orders, now figure it out.
Yep.
but you can see it on him. You can see it in him. You can see the growth from where he was a year ago this time to where he is now. So, of course, we know everything happens for a reason. But you brought up, Rhodesia, like kind of your thoughts about Saturday Night's Main Event actually earlier in this show. What did you think about that show? I thought it was a fantastic 2 hours of a wrestling show.
I think that this whole episode is gonna I get to lay out. You hit the nail on everything on that. And now it was only 4 matches, to be fair. But as far as the whole Saturday Night's Main Event, I actually enjoyed it. I've been on here talking about how much I hate the Saturday Night's Main Event because it's just a waste of time. It's just it's like a commercial or extended trailer of your show. And I just don't like that because I'm a wrestling fan, so I don't really want to care and see all that kind of stuff. But this was probably one of the best shows from beginning to end. To touch on the first match, 2 thoughts on it. Jacob Fatu, or in this case, Cody Rhodes. This is a funny question, but a legit question. Wouldn't you be pissed, like, if you spent all your money on a water and or beer, and then the wrestler takes it out of your hand just to use it as a prop?
No.
Oh, I would be
because you got
pissed.
the interaction. No, you wouldn't.
No, I would be pissed.
No, you
If
wouldn't.
I
You
spent
would
my
be so
last
excited.
$12 to buy a beer,
Well,
and they
if you
took that
spend your
beer out of
last
my hand.
$12, don't spend that $12 on beer. That could be, that could be the alcohol of the drunkenness.
Just me.
You know what I
Just
mean?
me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So got it.
Could you imagine? You got $12 left in your bank account. You're like, man, but this Bud Light's calling my name.
No,
Go ahead and ring it up.
Actually, no, real talk. One of my financial issues that I have is I'm an emotional spender, and it usually comes around food and entertainment. So heck yeah, I would go and I would buy the most expensive thing at the restaurant because that's what I want in that moment. Now, I don't ever regret it, but I'd be like, dang, like if I didn't do that, I could have had this, this, and this. But I don't want to belabor that. This is the Jacob that I was telling you about 2 episodes ago. Like if you're going to insert him into WrestleMania 3 or the main event on night 2, then it has to be worthy for me. And again, I'm only speaking for me. It has to be worthy. So they hit the ball out the park when he interfered in the cage match or in the 3 stages of hell match. On a follow-up, they did it on SmackDown, did a great job. Here, they did a great job as far as showing this different aggressive, and again, not the relying on the yada yada gimmick. Like to me, like that was taking away his aura for me, his mystique that I've always talked about. So if we can keep this, and I don't know how they're going to do that because there's like 3 things that he's done really well. I think we can all say he is going to be a great triple threat, triple way main event at WrestleMania. Again, I still don't want it in the main event position on place, but whatever. Then we go on to Rhea in the tag team match. I didn't watch their entrance because I didn't want to get worked and worked myself into a shoot. So I don't even know how they came in. So I'm just going to talk about just the match itself. An incredible match between women who knows how to work. You get the interference in the end. That was a great, like, oh my God, this shit is like, it's amazing. Like, this is what makes me proud to be a women wrestling fan because this is exciting. No one can say, male or female, unless you just hate women, that this wasn't a great, exciting match. So like you said, boom.
What
boom,
you said in the end, what in particular was what got you feeling that way?
When Raquel came running out, not Raquel, with the girl I always talk about, Stephanie Becker. But she came out, man.
What a spot, man.
You know, I've been critical on her, but she has
the spot with Raquel. That's what I wanted you to hit on. That spot with Raquel, so smart. Shout out to whoever came up with that spot, pulling. Who did they pull out? Who did Raquel pull out the ring? I can't remember whoever she pulled out. Maybe Rhea. It had to be Rhea because that would be the one that makes sense. It wouldn't be Io.
Yes, because Rhea was so tall.
Rhea falling on the referee. Such a smart and innovative spot to get the referee out, to not make the count, not touching the referee so it won't be a DQ finish or just the old trope of just pulling the referee out. And then you get Stephanie Becerra's return. I was like, oh, they're cooking right now. And then even up to that point, that is set up for the Hills to win. Right? You got all that shenanigans.
Yep.
And they don't.
And they don't.
And it was very, very smart. Good stuff, man.
Yep. And then so again, the point that you made, someone who's there, they probably said this is the best show I've ever been to in my whole life. This was even before them seeing that tag team match, just seeing the Rhea entrance. Now you get these 2 great matches or spots, we'll just call it. to be followed with AJ and Shinsuke, and to me, I felt like this was a slow match, and what I mean by that, it brought the crowd down and got them still engaged and in the moment and, like, on their watching, just being in tune to it to get it ready for the main event. Like, whoever did the match card and placed it did a fantastic job because I don't wanna call that a classic because it's not a classic, but I felt so good watching AJ Styles and Shinsuke. And it gave him time too. It gave him time to actually work a match and to tell a story. The whole y'all talk about psychology in a match. It gave time to talk through this match. And that's what I was really excited about. And so I've also noticed that I'm okay with a slower paced match. I just like more strong styles or stronger strikes. I like that kind of matches. And sometimes, and I've told you this before, and I think I've said it here before, like a lot of times with the Roman and the Cody matches, they're very slow and they're not really hard striking, hard hitting. But you brought up to my attention, but that's also because they're not in the main event spot. So there's a
Correct.
difference in storytelling and psychology too of a main event match. So I can appreciate a slow match.
Mhm.
As long as those hits are there, those elbows are there, those knees are there, I'm so fine with that. And then you get the fun of what Saturday Night's main event about, which should have always been about, was the fatal four-way. And again, I don't need to belabor it. All I know is they made my Puerto Rican Poppy look like a the odd man out. They beat his ass so royally in that match. I'm like, what did he do that he has to get some receipts paid on him? But overall, 2 thumbs up, probably the best PLE, I get you would call it PLE, right? Or whatever, special showing I've seen in a long time. I remember WrestlePalooza, I think, was good, but I don't remember all those matches on WrestlePalooza. But from start to finish, I thought that this was a fantastic show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go. I mean, they've had some really good pay-per-views. Evolution was fantastic. War Games was, I thought, was a lot of
Evolution was
fun.
fantastic.
And that was just in November. So I mean, they've done some good stuff. But yeah, just a great show. Tennis Man Event was really strong. It really was. It was a fun show, and so that kind of got me to, like, I was thinking about, like, the one of the things we were doing talk about with the Rumble. We won't preview the Rumble yet, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up was, like, I talked about it last week. Like, man, they really aren't promoting this Royal Rumble much at all, and it's because they got so many other, like, things to talk about and promote. They had the Saturday Night's main event, so the last week and a half has been directed towards that. They haven't really done much for after the Rumble, but I think so. I saw a lot of conversation about that too. And on one hand, I get it. Well, on one hand, I absolutely understand the thought of, this is your arguably second biggest show of the year. You need to promote it, get us excited about it, right? On the other hand, if I was playing devil's advocate, I would argue and say, with the Royal Rumble, yes, we want to be fed. We want to be worked. That's why we watch it. We all know what this is, but you want to have the excitement surrounded. So when Saturday comes or Sunday comes, or whatever day it is, the show is on, you are at your level 10 excitement level. But I could argue and say, if there's one pay-per-view that doesn't need to be promoted and hyped, it's the Royal Rumble. You already know the stakes. Women's Rumble, Men's Rumble, winner, main events, WrestleMania. They get a title shot. Yes, it's always great when we can get now some underlining stories that we're going to see in the Rumble, right? They told one on Raw about the Vision, where it's all four in the match now, and they came together and said, "Hey, Braun Breaker, he needs to be the one that wins it." Now, is it going to be that easy, or are we going to see some shenanigans where somebody tries to throw one out from the Vision, right? Whatever, but we know that's a story that we have coming up. We saw the way Liv Morgan looked at Raquel on Monday. Spoiler, when we get to the Rumble, I have Liv winning the Royal Rumble, finally. Does she do something that makes the Judgment Day look at her kind of funky? Who knows? So it's always fun when there are a little bit of stories, but at the end of the day,
It's a waste
I
of time.
think they've done a really good job with making AJ and Gunther very important. in the last 2 weeks. Sammy in Saudi is just like Punk in Chicago. You mention it once, and it's going to take on a life of its own. So Sammy versus Drew has the hype behind that there. And then you got the 2 Rumble matches. So, like, for me, I'm just as excited for Saturday if we didn't have, like, Saturday's main event than if I was. But, boy, and we haven't seen the Rumble yet, give me Saturday night's main event. Right?
Matt, you didn't say anything different than what I said at the start of the show. Royal Rumble is really kind of a waste of time. Now, they've done a great job with the mention of the retirement match. Well, that's once in a wrestler's lifetime, so you're only going to get that every so often. But cool, timing worked out good for them. Sammy and everything about Sammy and him being there, that's beautiful. That's poetic. Okay, I'll give you that. But all it really is the 2 Rumble matches. And you're going to get a whole lot of tomfoolery in the very beginning. And then you'll get a couple surprises, and then boom, and again, the last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes of both matches, that's when things will pick up, and we'll see. Maybe you'll get some threading of storylines. Maybe you might get some just even beginnings, in the planting of the seeds of storylines, because, hey, why did you throw me over so quick? I thought we were teaming up. All of that, I get that. But it kind of is just a waste of time. You said nothing different than what I said. You just articulated it differently.
It was completely
look like I'm not a hater.
different.
No, but it's still the same thing.
Different.
At the end of the day, the results are the same. It's kind of a waste of time.
But if that's the case, then every wrestling show is a waste of time. You just sat here and talked about, oh, Saturday Night's Main Event was the best PLE in history. What happened on Saturday Night's Main Event? The women defended their tag titles, no title change. We had a match that was a no contest, not even a match. We had Sami Zayn winning the 4-way, right? So what are you talking about? If, like, that's the case, you can argue that in every show. It's all about the execution. All about the execution. But yeah, overall, great job, WWE, for Saturday Night's Main Event. Great job. And the probably the biggest thing, I was like, oh man, that's so cool. If I was like super emotional, I may have shed a tear during Shinsuke and AJ, and the cameras missed it. And I told you when it happened, I said, man, that's one of the rare misses on WWE's production. But there was a spot, and this is a callback from NJPW, when AJ was in the Bullet Club, where he shoots the bullet at Shinsuke. And I can't remember if Shinsuke catches the bullet, eats it, or he catches the bullet and he throws it down. This time he caught the bullet and he put it on his heart. And I was like, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm about to cry now.
Yeah,
I'm about to cry. I'm literally about to cry right now. I'm gonna miss you, AJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you, AJ. Right? But like I told you, man, you gotta go. You gotta go. Let's talk really quick about Unreal before we get to. Actually, there's a thing I want to talk about with AEW. There's been some talks over the last week or so. I'm not sure where it came from, but I've seen it a lot. So I'm like, look, we can touch on it. And it's about is AEW building new stars?
Got it. So I do have a question about AEW too.
Okay. So just a quick topic on that. But WWE Unreal. So I told you guys I wanted to talk about it last week. We're not going to deep dive every episode or even bring up every episode. I kind of just got like some summarizations about the show. Before I go, I'm going to throw it to you, Rhodesia. So we watched the entire season last week in one day. I was locked in. I was locked in. I enjoyed it a lot. I did. I really enjoyed it, like a hell of a lot. I didn't pick up my phone once while I was watching it, so that's
true.
With 5 or 6 hours worth of content. I was locked in on it, and not locked in on it from a perspective of, oh, what's going to happen. Locked in from a perspective of what they were showing us. And then I get on social media. And see, I'm not a WWE apologist, right? I think everybody knows that.
What does that mean? Do you mean that you always taping for them?
Correct, right?
Right. Okay.
But the things I thought people should have picked up on, they didn't pick up on. I'll just leave it at that until I kind of give you the, what you want to talk about. But just what did you think about season 2 of Unreal?
The leading thing was the last episode. The last 30 minutes of the last episode to me was like not needed. I guess it was that to be continued to August 2026, I guess, when they pick up the second half of this season or maybe it's a new season, who knows? But up until that point, I think that this was probably some of the hyperbole moment again, best documentary on WWE that I've probably seen as a collection. I thought that it followed these people very well. It showed a side of them. Again, it's no different than the first season. Outside of, I think this time it was a little bit more in your face, really pulling the curtains back. And then also making sure that those actual talent themselves, you can kind of see how they were feeling in the moment, and Becky being kind of like, "Oh my god, like I cannot believe I don't have a poker face." Like again, we talking about Becky, somebody who's such a great in-ring performer, who is great, who is in her soul is painful for her because she has to keep the secret that her husband's really not hurt. So I was able to get on that roller coaster ride with her too. So I think it allowed to tell like a full open book of what's happening in WWE, actually putting some people to the fire too, as far as showing maybe some of the not so good sides of them, which I also thought was cool because the first thing I thought of was, remember that Rock interview that he did in his silky shirt after WrestleMania? It was like all the lies he's trying to tell. And like it almost felt like the opposite of that. Like the writers could get into an argument. You know, Road Dogg, who BFFs with R-Truth, like that, to watch that, I felt like I know a bit about their relationship over the 20 plus years that they've been friends. I never knew that they were friends to begin with. So just overall, I think they did a really great job in producing a documentary that even if I wasn't a wrestling fan, me just being a human, I can enjoy watching because it's telling stories about different people. They made it about the humans. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it as far as when Paul Heyman was saying it's not scripted, this is the truth, or whatever that line is. It's sometimes maybe a little bit too much for wrestling fans, but in today's age, you gotta evolve. So overall, I felt like Unreal up into the last 30 minutes of that last episode, I thought was fantastic.
I saw a lot of conversation about the show, and it was, oh, this is a work. You guys watching it, you're getting worked.
I don't know the point of that. It's already happened.
It's a wrestling production.
But didn't it already happen?
They're going to show us whatever they want us to see. Of course, they're not going to show us what they don't want us to see. That's some of the dumbest conversation I've seen about something. So that was one of the things I saw. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this isn't live. This isn't, they're not just recording everything and then putting out there. It's going to be a produced show. So like I loved it. So I go on to social media and I was like, okay, I'm just looking for different things than what the majority of fans are. And I get it. You know, like, I've been watching this for a long time. You guys have heard me say that a lot. I mean, I've been watching wrestling my entire life. I don't expect to have the same thought process as somebody who's been watching it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And no shade on you guys whatsoever if you've only been watching it for that long. But we're probably not going to be on the same page with what we see and what we take away from something. For me, watching season 2 of Unreal, I didn't think they showed too much in any perspective. I actually thought it was more of, this is what goes on to, this is probably going to sound pretty stupid, but this is what goes on to give you guys and show you guys and produce what you see on a weekly basis. The end. Right? I thought they did a good job of showing more of people's personal lives,
the human part
than
of
what
it,
they did before. Like, so I'm really confused. Like, I'm beyond confused when I get on social media, X, Twitter particularly, and I see everybody just trashing the show and trashing Road Dogg.
What are they trashing him for? Oh, the show. I mean,
trashing the writer's room, trashing how LA Knight was treated. So this is what I say when I say I'm not an apologist for WWE, right? But I mean, I've always called it like I see it. I think people are completely wrong. And you know how much I love Trinity, Naomi. Trinity, she talked about how she walked out, and Michael Hayes said that was a bad move. People online trashed Michael Hayes for saying that. Trinity felt like she did what she had to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like when Austin walked out, anybody in the business would tell you that's probably not the smart thing to do. It worked out for her, fantastic. But to say like, oh, Michael Hayes doesn't know what he's talking about, or he doesn't appreciate Trinity, or shut the hell up, Michael. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Maybe she probably would even tell you, if it was done a little bit differently, maybe I would handle it differently. Maybe she wouldn't, because where she's at now. Right? But like, you're not supposed to walk out. You're not supposed to walk out. Like, I'm like, we're arguing over this of all things. Then the things about like the writers'
real
room.
quick, then maybe they were just more upset with the fact that he went on air and said that, like, yeah, she shouldn't have walked out, but also he shouldn't have spoken bad about her. Maybe that could have been where they're coming from. Maybe. Because anybody would know if you quit and you are part of a team. It's no different than a soldier, not to try to compare wrestling to the field, but just like, okay, in the workplace, we rely on you. We need you. Everybody's a team player here. If you just get up and leave, then what happens? That's voided. That there's a void there.
And I'm glad she did. I even said it back then. I'm glad she did it. Still doesn't mean that it was the right thing to do. I'm just glad that she did it. I'm glad she stuck up for herself.
Maybe they just mad that Michael Hayes said that on air. Like, you didn't have to say that.
And we talked about it too. She won't say it. Sasha hasn't said it. But boy, I don't know if it came from Vince. I don't know if it came from John Laurinaitis, but it was something. It was a line or a word that was said that took them off to the point where they were like, no, we out of here. And I don't know if we ever hear it. We don't have to, but something was said that they were just like, nah, we good. But then I started seeing stuff about the writer's room. You know, how clueless people are in the writer's room. Road Dogg in particular. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, maybe these people who are saying this have never had a job where you brainstorm.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the part people kept talking about last week was when they asked about flipping the title, the United States Women's Championship. And Triple H asked, okay, so then what's next? And I think Road Dogg may have said, I don't know. That's how you brainstorm and you get ideas.
Newsflash.
Did you think like they come up with ideas and they have the 6 months completely spelled out right after that? Like, no, you work this. I was just impressed with them showing that. That they're showing at the beginning of these thoughts. Because I've always said, what's next? Whenever they make a decision in wrestling, I'm always like, okay, so what's the next move? Because if you make the decision just for that decision,
then there's nothing left.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because then you don't know what the next step is going to be. The LA Knight thing. So there's supposed to be the spot at Money in the Bank where him and Seth are on top of the ladder for whatever reason, or the way it looked. LA Knight skipped that spot.
Seth's fault then. I felt right? Like the way I watched that, I felt as if that was Seth's fault and not the backstage fault, not them, the producers, because from what it looked like, they had supposed to been very clear that they were supposed to have that face off at the top of the ladder.
Right. LA Knight never went to the top of the ladder though, so you put that on LA Knight. Okay. So the match is over. And Triple H just tells him, hey, man, we, had the spot to make you, bigger in the moment, fighting for blah, blah, blah. And of course, LA Knight is despondent because I'm sure he knows the spot didn't go as planned. And then I see people online complaining about what a horrible boss this is. LA Knight just had a match and he didn't win, but I don't need you chastising me, telling me what I did wrong. That didn't look like chastising to me. That looked like Triple H in the moment explaining why he wanted what they wanted, and it just didn't happen. There is no better time than to tell them. When else is he supposed to tell them? The next day on Raw? The next time, like, what are we talking about?
If that's the hardest of spot coaching to receive, maybe I still be in the corporate workplace. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no malice in H's face or heart. And he's still trying to run a show at this point, and he's just trying to put them on game. We were doing this for you, dog. Like, you needed to execute that. That's perfect. That's what you want from them.
And that's, for me, was what I got out of the show. Was just, you can say what you want about Triple H and how he wants the spotlight, et cetera, et cetera. But what I got from that show is we have already heard how much people enjoy working for him. The vast majority of wrestlers enjoy working for Triple H. And you can see why, right? You could see, because once again, because I have been watching this for so long, I remember going from before the Attitude Era, of course, right? But I remember the Attitude Era, and then right after that, and then WWE going really, really corporate, and then like everything is scripted. I'm talking promos, word for word. And really the only person that had any wiggle room was like John Cena. Everybody else had to go verbatim, word for word. And I'm talking they had to get approved through Vince McMahon themselves if they took a line out or if they added a word. And it was the 32 or 36 words that was banned that you couldn't say. And we're seeing a lot of those words come back now. Kill, blood, belt. We think we've heard all of that
pro wrestler.
over like the last couple, wrestlers.
Which they are.
So me watching this show, I'm sitting here and I'm like, yo, what's really cool for me is to see how much autonomy and wiggle room these performers have like in their promos. We never get the Charlotte SmackDown debacle that she had with Tiffany Stratton if everything was word for word scripted. They showed Triple H coming out like, hey, was that agreed upon? Right? Was that agreed upon? And then you got the agent is like, no, she kind of went into business for herself on that last line. He's all right, you probably need to go apologize. But to even have that room, and that's why we've enjoyed promos so much more in the last couple years on WWE. That's why we talk about, man, everybody has their own little bit of cadence. I even said last week, ain't nobody writing for Javon Evans. Javon Evans sounds completely different than Trick Williams. Trick Williams sounds completely different than CM Punk. CM Punk sounds completely different than Sami Zayn, right? Everybody has their own sound. Back in the day, everybody's promo sounded the exact same.
If you was either a good guy or a bad guy.
Sounded the exact same. Yep. Same tone, same inflection, all of it. So that's the kind of stuff that I looked at. I'm just like, wow, that's really cool to see. And then I saw a lot of course, talk about Road Dogg being a piece of crap, where he made the comment of the return on investment about R-Truth. We all love R-Truth. We know that. Like, I remember where I was when I saw that tweet from R-Truth on that Sunday about him getting fired. Nobody wants R-Truth to be fired. Of course, if it was up to us, and I'm sure a lot of the performers, R-Truth has a lifetime contract.
He should be have a Legends deal.
He should. That still doesn't change the fact of what Road Dogg said. We've seen other people who got released from their contract that we scratched our head. And it's because we love R-Truth, right? It wasn't because, oh my God, R-Truth brings so much to TV every week. He's irreplaceable. It wasn't that. It was, R-Truth has been there forever. Everybody loves R-Truth. He brings levity to every show that he's on. He's been a lifer almost, not really. Of course, he was in TNA and things of that nature, but over the last, decade or so, he's been that WWE lifer. Man, if y'all don't find a spot for R-Truth and sign that man. Mm-hmm. But what Road Dogg said from a business perspective, and because we know WWE is a business, and because we know we've seen people who have been released that we felt like shouldn't have been released, what he said was accurate. At his age, will you get the return on investment? Now, is that a little harsh to say when it's somebody like R-Truth? Yes, but when you have somebody like Road Dogg and R-Truth who have that relationship, and they spend an entire episode talking about and showing the relationship that R-Truth and Road Dogg has, if anybody was to be able to make that comment, it's Road Dogg.
Yeah.
But we miss all that.
Well, anybody can make the comment, but right? anyone that you would actually take stock to what they're saying, it would be him, because he would be in that position. And I think just from some of the comments you said that you've seen online, I just think people just maybe watch wrestling to get away. And when real life starts coming in, I might sound like a hypocrite here, but when real life comes in, they don't quite seem to understand that is a reality. That is a business. Just like how I've been ostracized before, talking about how Tony would keep people and just let them go. But it's his business. That's how he chooses to do business. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? Who knows? But that's business. And I think that was sometimes, if you hear that R-Truth, you're not the reason why people buying tickets. You're not the reason why people are subscribing to whatever they streaming their stuff on. if your number is so astronomically high from, again, if I'm just taking for what they're saying on TV or on this episode, H saying that his number was just so out of here, we couldn't agree. Fine, let it lapse. And that is business. And I think even R-Truth knew it too, because even his tone in the Unreal episode was that he's like, man, I know I was wrong but I was hurt. And that's okay. Because that's a human emotion, and that's why I really did like Unreal, because it showed a lot of the human aspect of it without making it look super cookie cutter. You have Road Dogg up there talking about that. At the same time, crying, making sure he's at his rap album release. Like, you could tell he loved that guy.
Well, that and so then you look at the Road Dogg piece of it, right? And Truth even said in there, man, Road Dogg saved my career. I was getting ready to give it up. Road Dogg saw me and was like, hey, man, just hit the road with me. Brought him to WWE. So did we just forget that part? Did we forget
Evidently.
the part of Road Dogg damn near crying in the writer's room about trying to get R-Truth a spot where it really didn't make sense? But he's just like, well, I'm going to just shut up then, because, you know, and Triple H even said, like, sometimes he leads with his heart more. And I've been hard on Road Dogg. I've said typically when he is the head writer on SmackDown, we see the quality dip. But I also have eyes, and I also use common sense a lot of times with like what I talk about and what I see. I just thought people were just way off. Now, some of them may just only seen the clips and not watched the entire episode.
That could be possible. Yeah.
I just had different feelings on that show compared to what the abundance of what I was seeing online. But positive wise, Lyra Valkyria. Shout out to you, Lyra.
Ooh.
Baller.
Ooh.
And not in the way because she was crying, but she's a hooper. To care as much as she cared, you know, like, you know, it was that was great to see. That was one of the highlights. Of course, seeing EO in that element was a highlight. You know, seeing Jimmy and Trinity, you know, in their personal life, that was a highlight. To your point about the in 30 minutes, it was just to now get into the John Cena piece of the Unreal this summer, you know, which was cool. It's just that part, it did feel a little disjointed because they spent the last half hour kind of talking about that, where that really wasn't a big deal in the previous 4.5 episodes or whatever it was. But overall, I thought it was worth watching. I thought it was great. That was kind of just really when I was like, okay, I know social media is meant a lot of times for people just to go on and bench and moan, but I was like, I'm really starting to see the gap of what I see and feel when I watch certain things, and then what evidently the vocal minority sees and feels.
And just a last point on that, I think you might have hit the nail on the head, and this could be an age thing as well, that these comments that some of these people make, maybe you are only watching the snippets, the 15-second, the 30-second snippets of and shorts of it. Where like someone like me, or maybe even you, not to speak for you, if you see something like Road Dogg saying what he said about, are we going to get our return of investment? I know that there has to be more context there. So I'm not going to immediately just say, hey, F you, you don't know nothing. And again, I knew nothing of their relationship prior to watching Unreal. I would say, well, there has to be something else to that story. And I wouldn't immediately like just come at him for that. But I think if they truly watched it, they would not have had some of those aggressive comments about Road Dogg. As far as the R-Truth thing. Again, we're not talking about him booking SmackDown.
Right.
We're talking about just purely the R-Truth thing.
Yeah. And they don't hit on everything. We know that. So I'm not absolving them of some of the bad storylines that we've gotten. I'm the one that I put Triple H on the naughty list last year for saying that the creative wasn't great, because it wasn't last year. It's been really good over the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It has. WWE's been in a really good space.
He watches TFW.
But yeah, I mean, so that's not me just saying like, oh man, everything they do is correct, because it's not. But when you are more interested in screenshotting the whiteboard when they have the SummerSlam lineup and talking about why didn't we get Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic, and where were the Bella Twins? They were supposed to work SummerSlam, opposed to actually you seeing the performers connect with their boss. then I guess we just aren't looking at it the same. One thing I will say though, it was funny to me, and it's got to get exhausting. And I remember talking to a wrestler a while back, and they were just talking about like the whole handshake thing. You know, every time you see a wrestler, you got to shake their hand. Even really, if you have seen them 7 times that same day, you got to go shake their hand. And it was just funny just to watch like everybody just thank you for the opportunity after the match. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. Was it good? Thank you for the opportunity. Was it good? That was kind of interesting to me. You know, just getting that validation.
One thing on that, the whole shaking hands is, I guess, etiquette when you enter locker room, or like you mentioned, you come face to face with a wrestler. And when I had the opportunity to be around a few wrestlers, like I just couldn't do it. And it wasn't that I didn't respect them. I respected them so much so that I just felt like I was so beneath them in this space right now that I didn't even want to bother to go shake their hand. Whereas I saw other people that was there, like the photographer, she would go around and shake everybody's hand. And I was just like, man, like that is so cool. And she does it like she's supposed to out of respect. But for me, I've always was like, I can't do that. Like I'm in their workplace. Like, why am I messing with them? But so if I was ever, and they're probably not watching, but in anybody who had, and I'd been in a room with them, if I didn't shake their hand, it wasn't because it wasn't being disrespectful. I didn't feel like I had enough confidence to go shake their hand.
And with that being said, you learned a lot of stuff watching Unreal, Rhodesia. We've learned a lot about you already on this episode, but we've learned a lot about you over the last couple weeks. It's time. What did Rhodesia learn this week that is common sense to pro wrestling fans?
On Raw, I was really kind of at a impasse in my life of understanding like maybe I really don't pay attention to wrestling. And oh, yes, I do. I just have to. When I was watching The New Day. And on commentary, they talked about Xavier mainly still being in mourning. And for the life of me, Matt, I had no idea why he was in mourning. I'm like, the last time I remember them being in mourning felt like so long ago. Like, hasn't that already been resolved? So then I had to do some research. Okay, so they're in mourning, as everybody who watches wrestling every week would know, because they lost their tag title. Then I had to go to the next level, like, well, wait, what tag titles are these? How many tag titles are there actually for men within the main roster WWE? Well, no, all I ever hear is the men's tag team championship. No, in fact, there's 2 sets of men tag team championships. The men WWE tag team championship and the men world tag team championships. So at this point, I am so mad at myself. Like, why am I even doing a podcast? Because I don't even realize that these are like 2 different titles. So ultimately, I have to come back and say, Xavier, Kofi Kingston, get over this gimmick. You guys, it's been over 6 months now. The mourning can stop. I know on commentary they said you can't tell somebody how long to grieve, but I'm telling you, please, because at this point, you have become like a afterthought of me, because I'm like, you're in the same gimmick talking about it. Go win a tag team championship or something. If you can't get the WWE tag team championship, go after the world WWE tag team championships. Do something, but get over this gimmick. And now I know that there's 2 different ones. And in hindsight, being 2020, I do remember when they switched over, because all I remember was the red and blue titles. That's all I remember. And then I remember they changed a lot of the Raw championship titles, how they looked, but that was like a couple years ago. So in my mind, I am legitimately thinking there was only 1 set of tag team championship male titles in main roster WWE.
These somehow get better every week, but then get worse at the same time.
No, I think I'm about to be done, though. I said that already. I'm running out of stuff.
But you did say, like, I feel bad. Like, why do I have a podcast? And I ask myself that probably once a month about you. Why do you have a wrestling podcast?
To provide a different view, a different voice on wrestling fandom.
But you got to watch it. Got to watch it. But you're watching this year. God bless, man. You're bringing a lot to the table. We appreciate you, Rhodesia. We appreciate you for sure. All right, let's move on real quick to AEW, and then we can hit the quick, evidently, Rumble preview.
That's all by yourself.
So there's been some talk surrounding AEW over the last like week and a half or so. Once again, don't know where it came from, but I saw it a few times. And it's kind of been about either can or is AEW building new stars. Do you have a thought on this before I go?
I have lots of thoughts on that comment. Are they building new stars? I feel like you have to be able to understand the blueprint or the owner's manual of how to create a superstar to begin with before you even introduce the human talent into the picture. We had said when they went on their downhill, kind of like they just is like everybody's just doing whatever they kind of want to do. And so no one is being actually built to be a star. I feel like I'm a little bit ignorant on this comment, but over the last couple months, it seems like they're getting better at storytelling. So I think the key ingredient in building a superstar is being able to tell a good story. That's like what you have to have in order to build that, and then insert talent, and then boom, you can do it. So do they have the ability to make stars? Sure. They just have to stick their landing and work really hard on storytelling. And I don't think they've really made any stars that was in divine intervention. Like you get somebody like MJF, can't stand him, but he's a star. But I think he would have been a star regardless, if you get what I mean by that. So that would be kind of just my first initial thoughts before you actually go on to what you want to say.
So you made a comment about storytelling. AEW's problem has never been storytelling. They tell stories. AEW's problem, and this is where I've talked about, I watch AEW weekly now, but I also watch it with a completely different eye than I do WWE TV. There was a word that came out a couple weeks ago about William Regal, that one of his job duties is to watch matches and kind of rank them and make sure it's believable. And I said, man, that's a hell of a job. I'm glad they have somebody doing that because that's so needed in professional wrestling. So for me, when I watch AEW now, I watch it as just because it is entertaining. But I watch it as just that. I don't think too much about it. Like I watch WWE much more critical. And then I also enjoy WWE much more because when I see things that is done right, I enjoy it more. But with AEW, I watch it every single week. I watch Dynamite every single week without fail. I don't really watch Collision. But the problem is not the storylines. The problem is when your tagline and when the company is all about putting on just the best matches, right? Their slogan is, we're the best wrestle. When everybody can wrestle, you need more than that now. And I've always said, I feel like they don't save some of their stuff the way they need to because every match they're going for 5 stars. I think that's the bigger issue. Do they make stars? Absolutely, they make stars. The problem is, though, they're not sustained stars. What I mean by that is, so like, take the perfect example for me was the main event on Dynamite last week. It was Kevin Knight versus Swerve Strickland. So if you've been watching, you know Swerve has kind of been taken to Kevin Knight, just telling him like, man, I see a big future in you. You're going to be a star. Just make sure it's not 10, 15 years down the line to kind of play on that whole conversation. So they work a match. Great match. But here's the problem. And some will understand how it's connected, some won't, and that's fine. During that match, Kevin Knight takes a pile driver on the outside guardrail from Swerve. Less than 2.5 minutes later, Kevin Knight is back on offense, hitting a 450 off the top rope. Yes, Swerve won. And what I did love was Swerve only went after one pin attempt on Kevin Knight. And I used to always, when I was a kid, wrestle with my like wrestlers or my pillow. And I would do that because that was not a thing. Like, I'm only going for one pin. And that one pin is when the match is over. So while I'm complaining about or bringing up something on one end, I do have to shout that out because you don't see that often. Of the one pin attempt is it.
Yeah,
that's great.
I don't ever see that.
But the issue with that power driver spot is that should be a spot where it's a stretcher job. At the very least, a count out or the match is over. But when everybody can take those type of moves, what then separates your quote unquote regular stars and your superstars? There's not much of anything. Everybody can work. Hell, we saw Tozawa on Monday Night Raw. He has been basically and essentially the comedy guy for years. The guy that gets thrown around, that says the one word, makes the funny faces, and you go out there and get beaten 20 seconds.
Yep.
They gave him a chance to shine. And wouldn't you know, he knows how to wrestle. Well, of course he knows how to wrestle. Everybody knows how to wrestle. Right? But the point is, you sat up and you were like, oh shit, Tozawa, okay. I see you.
Okay.
But now imagine if Tozawa did that every single week.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Now he's just in the same as everybody else. You have to have people pigeon and pegged in certain spots. You have to have the top of the top. And like outside of, hey, this person can cut a great promo, what separates your superstars from everybody else? And I think that's what some people may be feeling about AEW. Right now, they have this great storyline. I call it great. With MJF's got a lot of people gunning for him. Kenny Omega, Swerve, Hangman. But they're the same guys who have been in the title picture for a couple years now. Right? And this is why I talk about, I'm big into matches for champions that are not just thrown together. I would rather it lead to a big match on TV or champions only wrestle on pay-per-view. Big matches on TV is really what you want to do. But MJF just worked a Bandito, which I said 2 weeks ago, hey, if it wasn't for, I think it was Mello and Leon Slater, that would have been my match of the week if it wasn't for that match. So it has nothing to do with the match quality. It has everything to do with, now where does Bandito go? Bandito just got a world title shot. He loses. He's back down to where he was before.
But isn't that storytelling?
That's why I said it's not storytelling. It's not storytelling. It's how you are treating the wrestlers. Now we have Brody King, who is Bandito's tag partner, going after MJF. When MJF beats Brody King, he's going back down where he was before this mini feud with MJF. That is where they have to figure that part out. If you shoot somebody up, great. But then what's next for them? It's the what's next. Then what's next can't be just back where they were. You got to find a spot to keep them in the upper mid card, lower tier main event spot. That's where you're going to start seeing them really be able to really make the stars. But yeah, they can make stars. Orange Cassidy is a star, wasn't a star a few years ago. I mean, we can go down the list, right? Like Kyle Fletcher, they can make people per se, but even Kyle Fletcher comes back and he's not in the spot where he probably should be right now. That's, to me, is where they got to get better at.
Well, then that kind of leads me to my question. It's because of the Don Callis family. This could have easily been the Rhodesia segment. How many people...
You want to bring it back? Bring the music back?
Let's bring it back.
We getting 2 in the
bring
1 week?
Bring it back.
Nah,
bring it back.
God bless. Let's go. 2 in 1 week. Nah. 2 in 1 week is wild.
I'm just going to say some names. I'm just going to say some names. Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Josh Alexander, Rocky Romero, Hechicero, Kazuchika Okada, Wardlow, Andrade El Idolo, El Colon, and Jake something. What all do they have in common?
They're all in the Don Callis family.
He has a whole goddamn roster.
Correct.
Like, but when is it enough? Like, to me, again, anybody who's been watching it every week, everybody who's been watching okay, like, this needs to stop. Like, the reason why your Kyle Fletcher isn't Kyle Fletchering like he should is because he's in this whole Don Callis family. Yes, he's at the top of it, for sure. But, like, that's just too many people. And then that leads me to maybe wanted to ask a question, but this was also part of what I learned, that there's so many damn people in this Don Callis family. Is he kind of putting his own self over? And if yes or no, do you feel like he should stop? Because I remember there used to be words about referees trying to put themselves over, the managers trying to put themselves over the talent themselves. Like, I'm starting to get that vibe, like, this is more about Don Callis, it's called the Don Callis family, than actually the wrestlers.
I don't think that. And I don't think Don is doing much to put himself over. I did think it was hilarious. I did see, like, a month or so ago, somebody compared Heyman to Callis, saying, like, Callis is better than Heyman. It's like, okay, good God, man. Part of that is because you always hear the fucking Don Callis chant from the crowd. That's part of it. Right? That's part of it. But I don't think he tries to get himself over like that. What I would have loved to see, and still love to see, because for me, they don't win enough to warrant how big the family is. Like, back in the day, Bobby Heenan used to have a plethora of tag teams and single wrestlers under his group.
So this happened before. This has happened before.
Yeah, but also the difference was there was a payoff, right? Like, there was a payoff if somebody got their hands on Bobby Heenan, which kind of happened not often, but on pay-per-view, if it was a major babyface, Heenan getting roughed up. He getting roughed up. And it was a big thing when he got touched. But, like, for me, I would not have had a faction this big unless the end game was to have Don Callis family versus AEW. Like, to me, when I see this, I'm like, this is no brainer. If this was done right, Don Callis family is trying to take over AEW. And now either you're in the Don Callis family because they have so many people, or you're on the AEW side. And imagine if the Don Callis family was treated like the NWO. Just this takeover. Listen to those names. Some of those names.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Yes.
And they just haven't done it. They haven't done it. So.
Well, that's what I learned too.
Should we play the music again, or no? We ain't gonna give him to it again. We ain't get to. We just move on. That was a good one though. All right, Royal Rumble preview. Do you have the card in front of you? I think
I sure do.
This is just the 4 matches, right?
As of right now, it's just
as of right now.
As of right now.
Let's start with AJ Styles Gunther. We hit it last week. If by chance you did not see or hear last week's show, check it out. It is out there. That's really when we really kind of hit on AJ retiring and things of that nature. Of course, I feel no different. Actually, it's doubling down my thoughts that AJ is retiring at the Rumble. And I said it last week. Perfect time to do it. 100% the perfect time to do it. Perfect spot to do it at the Rumble. 10 years removed from when he debuted. He's gotten these matches and these segments. He got a chance to lead off Monday Night Raw. And I believe that's the first time he's ever led off Monday Night Raw. But I got a chance to lead off Monday Night Raw. And this is just one of those moments where I just absolutely love CM Punk. And I love CM Punk a lot. But this is where I talk about with Punk. And this is where I talk about the opportunity for performers to go out there and be themselves. Coming off the Unreal conversation. Punk comes out there with the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. And we all know why he's smiling. And he even says the first thing out of his mouth is, have you guys figured out why I'm out here yet?
But before I get to it, let's do that. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's because we're going to have this match tonight. He didn't come out and with a stone face. He didn't come out and made it like this was a grudge thing. And no, man, we all know why we're here. Mm-hmm. To me, the biggest wink to the crowd, and not in a way of taking you out of the story or taking you out of the show. But man, we're not stupid. Right. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And even just AJ's face and just that whole segment with them, and even trying to scrum up to get to the point of making it a championship match and et cetera, right? I thought that was beautiful. And I'm like, only Punk will be able to kind of pull that off, to be able to kind of tell you before we even get here in a shoot way, in a worked way, what this is all about. I thought that was tremendous. But yeah, I had to shout that out. I had to shout it out. But of course, I think Gunther beats AJ Styles, and I loved Gunther's sit down promo with Michael Cole. He told Cole, "I'm gonna retire you." I thought that was fantastic.
Where did 40 come up? Did we just make that up in a group chat, or did he actually say, "Are you over 40?" What was it that came up that he can get it too?
No, that was what were we watching? Was it UFC or was it on?
Oh, okay, I don't know.
UFC. It was something about Derek Lewis, and they were like, 40 years old, he's a man.
Okay, that's what it was.
That's what it was. Yep, on UFC. But yeah, that's what I got. I don't have much more because we talked about it for 20 minutes last week.
Yeah, okay. I think it would be cool, but you really got me on if they didn't. If they didn't. I think you kind of got me still intrigued on that. So if he didn't retire at the Rumble, what could that possibly look like? And them bringing it back at Mania. Could it be some people come out and say, hold on, wait, we see that Gunther maybe did something cheap or whatever, and then someone else comes out and calls like a DQ finish so that we have to now take it one more time. All right, fine, we'll do it at Mania. But would that be kind of cheesy? Could be. Where right now it kind of feels like, no, he's doing his final goodbyes. Let's finish it off here. So
especially what he's done over the last week and a half. And it's funny,
3 matches
them now trying to tell the story of AJ said he wants to fight. No, AJ didn't say that. AJ said, actually, you can pull up interviews. AJ said it like he's done. Like AJ didn't say he wants to wrestle and go on his.
He actually said that his body hurt so bad after a match that it takes him days to get back.
What are you talking about? He never said that. It's like, all right, Cole stooging off the finish. AJ said he wants to fight everybody on the roster. No, AJ didn't. It was shout out to Javon Evans. I guess you have to live internationally and watch live in order to be a Javon Evans fan, because you don't see him on TV. We saw really quick with him and AJ, which I thought was great. But during the commercial break, he said that he's declaring for the Royal Rumble. Once again, you couldn't find 30 seconds, 45 seconds for him. How about this? How about when Finn Balor went to Adam Pearce, and I just thought about this. When Adam Pearce Finn Balor went down and Pearce to talk about going into the Royal Rumble, Adam Pearce, sorry, Finn, like, you had your shot last week. I didn't know you wanted, you didn't say anything about it, whatsoever. We're full. I just gave my last spot. And you see Javon walking out of his office. Like, how hard is that to get Javon on TV? Right? Like, but whatever. So yeah. What else? And then we got the Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
I did think I was getting some comments on social media from some of the clips that we put up from last week's show surrounding me talking about Sami Zayn. I think a lot was on TikTok, maybe. I can't remember where, but it was some people who really think Sami's going to win at the Rumble, and then Drew's going to take it back before WrestleMania. I don't think that's the spot to do it. For me, he almost gets there again, right? Because they're in Saudi next year for WrestleMania. That is now the spot for Sami to finally get that world title, is next year. And hell, if we're getting Rock Roman, and we talked about a couple weeks ago about Austin, showing back up on WWE TV. I don't know if that is going to set up next year's WrestleMania or if that's for this year's WrestleMania. But if they're asking for The Rock, I'm sure they're asking for Austin. And I'm sure that payday is looking pretty hefty too. You can mess around and go Punk Austin. I don't know what you do with the titles. That kind of sucks. But you can go Punk Austin night 1, Rock Roman night 2, not have any title on the line. Then it doesn't matter what the title matches are. Not
doesn't
saying
matter
like
what
Sammy
matches is on the card.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Sammy does not to say Sammy doesn't deserve, like that in pyro shot, but like you could start the show off like they did with Jay this past year, and he gets the title, and he gets his moment, he gets the spot, and you still have that massive match in the main event. But yeah, I think you don't pull the belt off Drew yet at all, and I think that 2.99 count is going to feed families in Saudi on Saturday night.
How do I follow that? There's just no way Sam is going to win the title. And I can't even think that far in advance as far as like how you book things out like that. I didn't even know that in that moment as when you asked the question here. Sammy's just not. Drew had just won it after all this time just for then Sammy to win it immediately. Like that would be such a disrespectful transitional champion for Drew. So no, Sammy will not win at Royal Rumble.
And then we got just the 2 Rumble matches, right? Is that it, or is there one more
Rumble
match?
matches as of right now.
What did you think of the? What you think of the finish on Raw? You had a DQ finish, of course, with Punk and AJ, with Finn interfering. Do you think that leads to something at all at the Rumble? Do you think Finn still finds a way to get in the Rumble? Do you think he doesn't? And then Punk talks, or cuts a promo next Monday, and we pick that up, and maybe that's a chamber match. When Matt was watching it, he kind of wasn't feeling it, and he's just like, I thought like we were about to go with this babyface, like Finn Balor. I'm like, well, we got 3 months, because I think they've really already kind of shown we are going to get Finn versus Dominic at WrestleMania. I do think it's for the Intercontinental title. So I think if you turn him babyface now, what do you do to hold off for the next 3 months, him and Dom? So of course, we're going to have a babyface Finn Balor, but what did you think of the finish, and do you think Finn somehow gets in the Rumble?
I thought that I wrote this note down that hindsight was 2020 because of what led up to him jumping into the ring to interfere. What I took away from it was more of, are we going to see some back and forth between Finn and Punk a little bit more? Now, is this to buy time until we can get to really the road to WrestleMania and we can get Dom if Dom is healthy by then or no longer injured? That's kind of just what I took it from. By him not being in the Rumble, I'm quite sure, like if we talk and shoot, there's a way to put Finn in the Rumble, but he's not going to be in the Rumble. And why? The whole point of you always asking what's next. I think that maybe we might see something more with him and Punk. I just think they did so well that you can't just like that. That was kind of beautiful, their dancing match. So
well, and if you put Punk, or excuse me, if you put Finn in the Rumble, then that discredits that finish.
Yeah. Yep.
So
100%.
I would have an issue if Finn Balor found a way to get into the Rumble after what he did with Punk and AJ. That just doesn't make sense. Yep. So might as well just go right to the men's Rumble then. We can finish on the women's Rumble.
Story tells it that it should be Braun should win the Rumble.
Breaker?
Braun Breaker. Again, I admire you being able to book and story tell out to the future, and I don't have that. I just have like the feeling right now, what feels right now in this moment. I think it feels like it's for Braun Breaker. It really does. But it almost is showing like they're showing it to us too much. So again, this is where you kind of like, am I working myself into a shoot here? Like, what's really happening here? Am I being spoon fed? Or am I just really overthinking it? So I think maybe the money could be Braun Breaker winning. But then who I was going to say on the women's side, I also don't think that both of them would win. I would have to be wrong in one of my comments.
So like the fun thing about this Rumble is we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun thing about it. It easily could be Braun.
To be Roman?
Easily could be Roman. I mean, to me, those are the top two. Mm-hmm. Especially now knowing they pivoted from Cody Roman 3. Of course, they could do Cody if they wanted to. and have him be a 3-time.
Yes. Oh.
You know, but I think he's like I think Bron Breakker has a better chance of winning than Cody Rhodes. This is why I'm excited about this men's Rumble. Last year, who won the Rumble last year? Was it WrestleMania 41?
Was it Jay? It was Jay, right?
Jay won it. It was him and Cena. Yep.
I didn't have to
this year feels similar to it, right? Like nobody picked Jay. Remember, until during the match, I told you, I even said, remember, I was like, Jay's winning this Rumble.
Well, yeah, because he lost the Saturday Night's Main Event just the month beforehand, and we got upset about. But
nobody picked Jay. Bron Breakker is the, if he didn't have the match with Punk, he'd be the odds-on favorite to win. I don't think it's open for me spot. I wouldn't do that. Now, granted, hopefully, I mean, Oma needs to get the, I think it was 10 or 11 most eliminations. I can't remember. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you'll fact check it. But whatever that number is, he needs to win it by 1 for sure. And then I don't know how he gets eliminated. Maybe he gets eliminated through what his Rumble match is going to be. Maybe is it Brock? Somebody big is going to have to eliminate Oba. I don't think you do the 5 or 6 people eliminating him. It should be, for me, it should be like, hey, who's his first feud? Right, and that's how we get there. But they got some fun stuff. Triple H, I guess, said that there's some surprises planned. I know they have ways, or they have a way. They feel super confident of getting surprises into Saudi Arabia and not people being spoiled on it. So I'm happy about that. You know how I am about the surprises at the Rumble. That's a big piece to it. It's not everything to the Rumble, but that's a big piece to it. If you know every surprise, then like, what's the point?
It'd be really a waste of time at that point.
So yeah, so for me, it's I'm going with Roman just because I don't know what else you do with Roman. My number 2 would be Bron Breakker. If I had to throw like a super wild card out there, a super wild card. If I had to throw a super wild card, I don't know if I even have one, to be honest. I was trying to think of one like quickly. I don't think I have one.
Well, if I'm looking at the image, they have like a lot of the luchadors in the middle. So of course Penta's there, and they even have Gunther that's there on the side. So
I do wonder who his main event or his WrestleMania match is going to be.
But why would they have Gunther there on the side? That doesn't make sense.
Well, because he's going to be at the show.
Got it.
Yeah.
But why would that be no, but that's interesting because that's the actual image of their match.
So you thought when they did that 2 months ago?
That's fair.
You'll see on Unreal season 4, Unreal season 7, how they do these promotional videos. Yeah, whatever. I was trying to think of a wild card. I don't have one.
So Bron and Roman.
Yeah. Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
And then the women's match.
I live all day. Live all day for me.
And I have to remember that this is for the WrestleMania spot. So that's like, this is not like Queen of the Ring. This isn't like the Money in the Bank and stuff like that. I really had thought Roxanne for a second. But I just don't think that they would feel that enough stripes have been earned for her to be in a main event. Even though they are like really not main events, but they always talk about co-main events for each night. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know if that's too big of a stage for her right now. And again, that's not saying anything bad about her, but I would love to see that.
I would too, but it's not needed really, right? Like for me, live is all day. I think even when I asked like 6 months ago, remember really early favorites? Mm-hmm. I think I may have said Punk, but he's a champion, so I was kind of close. And I think I'm sure I said Liv. But you got Liv, you got Bianca, you got Tiffany Stratton. I mean, there's so many like big names I expect to come back to television that you can do it. I think the only reason why I didn't pick Bianca was because the story for me was one, she won last year. And the story for me with Jade needs to be through that. Like, not because you won the Rumble. No, we need to get to a story there where they want to wrestle each other. They need to wrestle each other, and not just because you're the champion I picked. Like that personal grudge piece. But in terms of like a dark horse for The women, who would I pick as like a wild card for the women? It's probably somebody like right in front of our face that I'm not thinking about. I don't think it's Rhea.
Do you know if Becky's gonna enter it?
She said she is entering it.
So, I mean, it could be her. I mean, Raquel, but she's kind of in some. She has something with Stephanie Vaquer soon, isn't she?
Monday.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe okay, so that's already after the Rumble, right? Because the Rumble is a few days from now. So yeah. Okay. Yep. Maybe Raquel.
You think Raquel wins it and then they give her a title shot on Monday?
Nope. My days was off. Sorry.
Idea.
I switched it in my mind. I thought the regular episode was before the Rumble. Sorry, not
what
after
a
the
god-awful idea.
But shoot, like for real, like in real life, like if the wrestling champions is like real life, and I say this
Rhodesia said Raquel's winning the Rumble and she gets a title shot on Monday.
Listen. I've always said this, and I say this at every Royal Rumble time, and I will continue to say it. Royal Rumble happens before
Rhodesia learned in that moment that was the dumbass idea.
Let me get my point out, okay? I've always felt like if I was the heavyweight champion, I would enter the Rumble just so I don't have to work at WrestleMania. And I know that would never happen. But listen, I don't have to defend my championship because I'm a champion and I'm the number one contender.
We got it. We did it. Don't worry about it. We're good. Hey, great news for all the TFW fans. We are going to give you a post-show Royal Rumble pod drop on Sunday. So you guys will not have to wait until Wednesday to hear from us. We will drop a pod on Sunday on YouTube and on the podcast platforms. Our thoughts about the Rumble, what's next, et cetera, et cetera. We still plan on dropping on Wednesday, but as we talked about last week, we're heading back to the States and our flight is Tuesday and we get back to the States Tuesday night. So got to see about, of course, what all that plays out and where we'll be. You'll have another show for sure next week. It may be on Thursday if we can't do Wednesday, but you will be fed your Royal Rumble post-show thoughts on Sunday. All right, so look forward to that. Until then, we out of here, man. Rhodesia, you were on one this episode. Hopefully, you will appreciate and enjoy the second best show all year, which is the Royal Rumble.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay, and actually, everybody out there, enjoy it. This is when WWE starts cooking now. Get to the road to WrestleMania. If it ain't good now, we in trouble. So that starts with the Rumble. So we'll see y'all in a few days on Sunday for the post show. Peace.